My name is Margaret Windsor, and I have to use the name Peggy Dempsey. Well, I'm not going to be able to see here the way I'm in bad shape. I hope this is over soon for the good. Try to laugh. Anyway, I was kidnapped in 41, the spring of 41, and at age 2, and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and put in a pigsty is the only way I can describe it. A pigsty is, well, that's kind of odd. I'm describing it that way with what I'm about to put up. But I put this up before. I'm going to go ahead and put it up. The birth certificates for where I was put there and given the name of Peggy Dempsey, and I married a Childers. That's the name I have to use. Until God helped me get my name back, my real name back. I'm Margaret Windsor, heir to the British Crown, Queen Victoria II. My father's Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. He married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. And it's such a horrible takedown by the Illuminati. And since this gets I put several up over the years about this, and there's one person, I don't want to get him in trouble. The only person I know of who has spoken up, and he would remember. Well, I guess I'm kind of saying it here by telling that, but he was, when I was put there at age 2, he would have been maybe 4 years older than me. He was 3 years older than the twins, Peggy and Carl. And they gave me her name, remember, and identity and stole mine. Now, the reason I'm putting this up, I have put it up over the years, but I don't keep tabs of my videos. I mean, I don't have them numbered. I've got them over the years. I guess I've got most of them. Anyway, I can't go back, and they're not on file by the way they should be, so they're not easy to go back and find. But anyway, after I found out about my kidnapping, or I learned about being kidnapped in late 83, but this filters back. And because it's hard to tell, oddly enough, there's a lot of people who try to discredit it or something. I've told the truth, and if it comes to a closing and tells I get to go home, I get my name back, it's prosecuted, half of the people are in their grave, they're dead. Anyway, let me just say this. The one person, I started to say some people will just try to discredit when they don't even know what they're talking about. I've told it, and it spans my life. And unless I get to go home pretty soon, or this is told pretty soon, I'll be dead just like my father. And I'm going to get this in here. I'm watching George Bush and all the nice things that are being said in the tributes, and people are going to get mad at me. Not this one lady. I like her. She certainly helped me and gone out of her way and helped me the last couple of months. Really nice lady. And this is really to her, telling her this part. I don't know if my birth date, I assume it's January the 7th. That's the date I had to use of 39. When I found out my name, real name, about my kidnapping, and I could remember a lot about it. What somebody says that you can't, of course you can. And now then, they say that babies can even remember back when they were only 6, 7, 8 months old. So, pardon me, lady, I know what I know, and there's no need for me to try to lie. My God, the truth is bad enough that happened. But anyway, I remembered, and let me get back to the one person that's about 4 years older than me, or 3, I'm not sure, probably 4. But he was the one that would tell the truth when I started putting it up on YouTube and Facebook. And there's just one of like Lana Dempsey was mother of the twins and killed them. And Peggy was killed the real Peggy was killed about 1 to 2 weeks prior to them putting me there. So this was all planned. JFK, the Kennedys, they question whether JFK had anything of course he did. I've told the truth about it. The truth is so bad, for God's sake. It's mind-boggling. Anyway, JFK's father was appointed ambassador to England in 36, the same year my father became king, and they took him down. He was put there by President Roosevelt, a Jew. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers are Jews. Then you got members of my family, illegal George VI, and thus Elizabeth is illegal. The whole lineage line is. And yes, they always have known the truth. And Elizabeth come floating through here with all her entourage when I'm living on the friggin' mountain up here on the Appalachian Trail. I had froze and starved, and people told not to help me. I didn't commit the crime or crimes. So I'm going to leave it there. She went on to the state capitol, made a speech. She went on to the embassy in D.C., and was given the banquet and all this fanfare and jewels and all this stuff. And then she went on to New York before the United Nations. How quaint, since she works for the Illuminati that took down my father, have kidnapped me, and made the way for the global government to be installed. And it's well and alive up there now. So, end times. I had no understanding that what I was doing, writing a book, etc., would end up in the chipping and all that being related to my kidnapping and programming people in the chip by the global government, the Illuminati, would be used in end times. So anyway, what was I going to say now? This one member of the family has admitted, because he called me actually about 3 years ago. Now he got my number, and it started going up on YouTube and Facebook. And I guess the one member of the family of the Dempseys that was alive, the sisters, there was one brother, and I'm getting to him. I guess it was really bothering her that all this was going up on YouTube and Facebook, because there were still some people in Moulton that really remembered oddity about, I don't know if their children had passed it down by that time, but there's some people that when I spoke with Jean, she's the one that's still alive, I think, today, but a few years back, because they were, the truth was being told on YouTube and Facebook, and it bothered them. Anyway, I'm going to forget now. I'm tired, and what was she call me? And well, she's concerned about, hey, they covered up kidnapping and murders. So anyway, I was going to say something else, but anyway, she's the only one that's still alive of the sisters, and there was one boy, Matthew Dempsey, in it, James Matthew, and he was a master sergeant and retired from the U.S. Army. And then they're deceased except for Jean, the younger child. But anyway, this would have been Peggy's cousin. When I was put there, he called me about 3 years ago and was talking to me. He got my phone number somehow, and I hadn't spoken to him in years and years. But he admitted some things I remembered. He added to it. He was not afraid to say, hey, yeah, it's true. About people that within the family there that knew about my kidnapping and come back, and specifically because they were ordered out, saying, hey, that's not the same little girl. But this was told to me. I can go back and remember where some people knew it when they switched, and they knew that it wasn't the real, I wasn't Peggy. And I remember one woman that didn't live too far from the Dempseys. I remember going there, and the old lady who would be the grandmother of the twins, of Lana, their mother, the grandmother, was this person. I was with her and had to walk a ways to get there. And she says, now remember, I can't remember everything she said, but tell them you're Peggy if they say anything. And I went in, and I remember the very spot and everything. And when I spoke with Jean, she remembered it. She knew then that I could remember things, so it kind of, I think, shocked her because the truth somehow may be told. You remember this would be her mother, that she's sister to Lina, mother of the twins. This family knew it. Lina would have faced the death penalty for killing the twins, and they covered it up. So they would have had jail time. Anyway, okay, well, where did I get to? The person, I was going to the neighbors with her, this woman, would have been the grandmother, their mother, the Dempseys. We got in, and I remember, it was an older house, and it was across from the moats. If anybody gets this, it's from Lawrence County. They probably know on Route 4 where the moats lived. And it was on the left side, and this little, where we were, the house this woman that we were going to live was old. We went in, and it was 2 beds, and it was a living room, was their bedroom. And I remember looking at this big photograph and it on the wall, and it was like advertising Brewster Snuff, I think, and had a big rooster up there. And that's what that stuck in my mind. And I remember this woman saying to Dempsey, "Don't tell me that's the little girl, same little girl." And they actually got into it, and we left. And not long after then, their house was still sitting there. They were gone. They were out of there and gone. And they had lived there evidently for a long time. Don't know if they owned the house. I would think they did own it back then. Now then, here's where I'm going with this, and I hope I get to feeling better. And I know I'm going to have to find another place to live after being here the winter, and it's just getting to me. I like where I'm at. I like the people, okay, and I like, well, it's just, I've told what's going on. I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an autoimmune disorder. Anyway, what I remembered when I could remember about my kidnapping, and it was told, but I remember James Matthew when I was little. I lived in fear. I could not drop a dish or do anything. Everything was negative, screaming at me. I think that's the reason I have this thing about people's sharp tones and everything. Everything I did was wrong. And, I mean, they hated me. I'm just a little kid, put there, out of loving arms. Now then, I remember this night when Matthew, and he was halfway decent guy. He was the only boy in the family, and this old man, Dempsey, beat him up. Just beat him up from my understanding. And I remember some of the stuff. But anyway, he came back from service. I don't know that he was in service and came back. I think he was. He came, it was at night, because I'd gone back to the back room to get away from Lina and her mother, the grandmother. And anyway, he came in screaming and saying, went into the kitchen, and he said, "But you fed her to the pigs. But you fed Peggy to the pigs." So they did. That got rid of the bones and everything. So there I'm put there, and about a week to 2 weeks after she was murdered. And I guess people thought that the Brits would never know where I was, or nothing would ever be done about it. Well, nothing has been done in that I'm not home, and the media is not forced to tell this horrific crime. And it's so hard, because every step of the way, to me and my sons, it really crushes me, because I don't know where they are. So I'm going to leave it here. I put this up here because that's what happened to the real Peggy. And the dates of birth, I don't actually know. It was marked through in the state of Virginia. I couldn't get a driver's license renewed, because by that time I had to use birth certificates, and I got the ones from state of Alabama. By the way, I had copies that replaced the originals. I had gotten the originals from state of Alabama because the Brits told me to at the embassy up there. When I went up there, they don't doubt it. I mean, I go in there, they know. This is the odd thing. It's because the United States has gone in and they control everything. Your United Nations, for God's sake, your global government that helped kidnap me and take down my dad. I want to say this before I go, and then I'm going to get off because I don't know how I'm doing this. I certainly don't feel good. I'm having a bad time, and there's no need. I really am. Well, for once, I'm going to forget what I was going to say. Kids used to say, "Mom, get to the point, or you're going to forget the point you're trying to make." Well, I guess I better stop, because maybe I better, well, I don't know what I started to say. Excuse me. Maybe, perhaps everybody has those moments. And this is how I get through it, by trying to laugh. Not funny. It's the only way I can make it.